Broncos blow another fourth quarter lead in the preseason. They lose to the Niners 21-20, and I'll be honest, I don't really care that they lost in the fourth quarter because the guys playing in the fourth quarter are not playing in the regular season. So if you are looking for a post-game show that's going to cry about Faye and Hicks getting burnt by Ronnie Bell to end the game, this is not the post-game show. I want to talk about takeaways from the starting offense and defense that did play and I thought looked pretty good, and that's what matters the most to me. Now, we'll throw some stats on screen for everyone to kind of, set the table. Jarrett Stidham, I don't know if he's the guy. He might be a backup. For everyone out there that talked about Jarrett Stidham replacing Russell Wilson, crawl back into that hole. It ain't going to happen. What can happen, though, is Jaleel McLaughlin is going to make this 53-man roster. He had an incredible touchdown where he slammed on the brakes at the 2-yard line and then just jogged into the end zone. So I loved what I saw out of McLaughlin, the UDFA running back, who we'll talk more about him. The dude's a roster lock. But I've got 5 takeaways from this game. I kind of want to run through a lot to discuss, so I might skip or miss a thing or two. But let's get right into it with Russell Wilson. He was done after the first series, but the starting offense wasn't done. So what gives? Well, I think what happened is Sean Payton gave him a fist bump and said, I've seen everything I need to see from you tonight. You're done, dude. Grab a ball cap, get a hot dog, sit on the bench. You looked good. Russell Wilson was mobile with his legs. He was extending plays. If not for a Cortland Sutton hold, that drive might have ended in 7 instead of 6. But Russell Wilson looked much better than he had last year, right? He was 3 for 6, 24 yards. But the stat sheet, the box score doesn't do him justice. Everyone comes out of that thinking Russ looked good. Like, for only having one series, not every single series is going to result in a touchdown, right? Do Chiefs fans panic if the first series for Patrick Mahomes is not a touchdown in every regular season game? No. So we can't have that double standard for Russell Wilson. Russ moved the ball down the field against the 49ers defense, by the way, that was top 3 in the league last year and had a lot of their big players on the field. I liked what I saw out of number 3. But grade the Broncos so far against the 49ers, A, B, C, D, or F. I would think Denver gets a B grade. Yes, they lost, and that seems bizarre to say, but I care about the first and second stringers the most. And what I saw to the first team offense and defense were really overall positive, encouraging things. Sorry the fourth string guys blew it at the end. They played Trey Lance. He's a good quarterback. I thought he looked good in that last drive. I'm not concerned. Moving on to my second takeaway. This is what I've been hinting at. Jaleel McLaughlin is a roster lock. The conversation surrounding number 38 as being a bubble player is over. He is on this roster because he's making a 53-man roster, meaning if Denver wants to try and sneak him onto their practice squad, hope he clears waivers, and they can stash him on there for this year and bring him up next year and have him be the Samaje Perine role where you don't sign a running back, that ain't happening. The rest of the league, they do their homework on other preseason games. They're going to see 7 carries, 45 yards, a touchdown, 2 touchdowns now in the preseason, 3 It's hard to keep track at this point. Yeah, he's making the roster. He continues to make really good plays. I love that special teams play he had. Beautiful kick return to set up the offense. McLaughlin, roster lock. It's a fact. Third takeaway I've got is Javonte Williams returns, and he was very involved. Javonte Williams had a lot of catches. He had some good runs altogether. No big explosive play from Pookie, but he had 4 grabs for 18 yards. I kind of just chuckled at the first pass when he dropped it because it was like a little bit of post-game jitters, you know what I mean? First game back jitters, butterflies, all that stuff. But Javonte Williams, he didn't look timid. He didn't look slow. He didn't look like someone who was afraid to cut on a dime. No, he got a couple of carries. The offensive line, which we'll talk about at the end, once again, didn't do a lot of favors for him. Samaje Perine probably had some better overall runs. But as far as first games back go, I thought he looked pretty good. So you didn't get a 75-yard touchdown run. but he didn't look like a guy who was afraid of contact or afraid to turn on the jets or something like that. Before we get to the rest of my takeaways and instant reaction from this game, our sportsbook partner, BetUS, they're giving Broncos Country a 125% deposit bonus. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code Broncos125. You want to bet on Denver to win the AFC West? Plus 550 odds is incredible value if you believe Sean Payton can recreate what he did in year one in New Orleans with year one in Denver. Moving on to our fourth takeaway, what is going on with the pass rushers? Frank Clark and Randy Gregory, two longtime vets, 8+ years in the league, are playing in the fourth quarter of a preseason game. I don't quite know how to make sense of this. Randy Gregory had a sack, looked good, looked kind of like pumped up and excited and happy on the sideline, but Jonathan Cooper was your starting outside linebacker over Frank Clark. Is this a sign or a sneak peek of the depth chart and more to come? Or is this just Sean Payton rewarding Jonathan Cooper from what he's seen in training camp, and he wants to kind of play around with the depth chart? It's bizarre to see these kind of players on big contracts play in the fourth quarter of preseason games. Sean Payton is clearly sending messages to this locker room, which is, if we're going to start turning things around here and winning games, it starts today in the preseason. It starts by building a winning culture, not just by losing preseason games and then going, well, if the starters were in, we would have won. Like, that may be true, but Sean Payton's not taking anything for assumption or granted here. Like, he is putting his guys out there late into preseason games. So I don't have at the off the cuff, raw emotion takeaway, instant reaction, great insight as to why we saw 5 and 55 on the field in the fourth quarter. But clearly, Sean Payton goes, Randy Gregory, you have not played a lot of football lately, sir. You're playing tonight, and you're playing a lot. My fifth and final takeaway is basically what I just talked about, and that is Sean Payton, and this is not a knock against him. The dude's a preseason hardo. The dude's a football guy. He is a football guy through and through. He is playing his starters deep into preseason games. He is coaching up these games. He is not interested in doing cute little sideline interviews with the local reporters. He doesn't want his guys in street apparel like Brandon Ayuk running onto the field, causing the Niners to get an unsportsmanlike conduct. No, Sean Payton is sending a message that in the previous regimes and past years, treating the preseason like the preseason is not going to help turn things around. So, sure, it's a bit risky, and if an injury happens, we're going to curse his name. But so far, people have stayed healthy. At least the big names have. So we'll see if it pays off in the regular season. But Sean Payton is not messing around this preseason. He is playing notable players deep into games. Now, before we get on out of here, make sure to subscribe. Get the best Broncos YouTube videos out there when you join our growing Broncos country. Hit the sub button down below. We keep you in the know. Like, unfortunately, injury news. Jalen Virgil had that incredible grab to wrap up the first half, came half a yard short of 6 points, but he did exit the game, was eventually carted off with a knee injury. Sucks to see. A UDFA last year who grinded, made the roster, had some nice moments for the team. Hopefully it's okay, but it didn't look good. He got up and then he grabbed his right knee, and eventually the cart got him to bring him inside. Fingers crossed that everything's okay, but that's the injury update on Jalen Virgil. So one last time, Denver falls short in the Bay Area, 21-20. Jonathan Cooper's a big-time winner. Russell Wilson in the first-string offense. Well, to wrap up the show, I'll end with this. Ben Powers, get it together. Like, the offensive line, not looking pristine. They definitely missed their big, expensive right tackle, Mike McGlinchey. But the rest of the guys, Ben Powers is handsomely paid as well. And he was a turnstile for a sack today. So the offensive line has some work to do, no doubt about it. Let me know who the biggest winner was for the Broncos from the 49ers. We will end the video with this question here. So comment a name down below for 2 reasons. 1, it's chat sports. I always love seeing what you guys have to say. And 2, it's a good way for me to get a pulse of everyone that watches our videos all the way to the end.